Remember the Irix 150mm macro lens? They also sent me their Cine version. In this video, I'm going to give you my review of the Irix 150mm macro Cine lens. So you all know that I do like the Irix lens. It's great build quality. I mean, it's an absolute workhorse. It's absolutely solid and it's weather sealed. Looking at you, Laura. I also love the focusing grip that is on this lens. I think it's an absolutely fantastic focusing grip and one of the best ones out there. So when Irix said, would you like to have a look at our Cine version of that lens? I said yes. So this is the Irix 150mm Cine macro lens. This is a T3 lens. So for anyone out there who doesn't know the difference between a T-stop and an f-stop, the simple cut down to basics answer is this. An f-stop measures the light going into the lens. Now of course, depending on the lens, that light bounces around inside the barrel and you lose light by the time it comes out the back end. T-stop measures the light coming out of the back end. So it doesn't matter what lens you've got, the light coming out of the end will be the same. So if you was to get a 45mm T3 lens, it would be the same light coming out of the back. So that's the difference between an f-stop and a T-stop. And that is very, very important when you come into a Cine lens, because when you're swapping lenses, you don't want to be having a different exposure because you've got to match up scenes. So knowing what the T-stop is coming out of the lens is very critical to that production. So this lens is based on the photography version of the lens with very similar characteristics. So this is a 1:1 macro lens for Cine, so that's for film. It's got a minimum focus distance of 35 centimeters, which works out roughly 22 centimeters of actual working distance in front of the lens. It's got a smooth focusing ring as well as a smooth iris ring. It's got 270 degrees of focus throw on the focusing ring, as industry standard 0.8 pitch gears for follow focusing systems. It's got 12 elements in 9 groups with 11 aperture blade iris with 75 degrees of throw on the actual ring itself. The iris control is nice and smooth with no noise, which is great for video. The focusing has some focusing noise, but to be fair, most of the time you're not going to be recording audio on your camera anyway, so it really doesn't matter. The markings that are on the outside of the lens can be in metric or imperial. It's also painted in a UV type paint, so in low light situations you can read the numbers on the side of the lens. The lens features an 86mm filter thread on the front and a 95mm thread for clamp on matte boxes. The lens hood is made of plastic. It's absolutely solid, it's massive, and what I do like about the lens hood is it's actually magnetic, so it just locks in. You see there? It's locked in by magnets. That I really do like. And it does prevent a lot of flaring on this lens, so if you are shooting in bright sunlight, I would recommend you have the lens hood with this lens. But wide open, the flare is soft with a little glare. It cleans up nicely as you stop down on the T-stop. It's roughly 130mm in length, with a weight of 1,105 grams. The weight does change depending on the mount that you're using with this lens. It comes in an EF mount, which I have here, a Sony E mount, a PL mount and an MFT mount. So stopping down to T3, the bokeh on this looks very, very nice. It's very smooth. They have like a cat's eye appearance on the edge of the frame with a small amount of chromatic aberration. As with any macro Cine lens, you have a lot of focus breathing on this lens, but to be honest, I don't think you're going to be focusing that much in distance on this lens. It's mostly for macro work. The lens is sharp wide open with a little chromatic aberration, but nothing to worry about. And this does improve as you stop down on the T-stop. There's no signs of distortion and only a small amount of vignetting. Now, if you point this at a white wall, you are going to get vignetting, okay? Particularly when you focus to infinity, but you're hardly ever going to be in that situation. I think it's a very, very extreme situation. For me, I haven't really noticed any major vignetting with this lens. This lens has full weather sealing, which is fantastic to see because in some situations you're sitting in bushes, they've got dew on them and it might get wet. So having full weather sealing is great. It's of a metal construction, absolutely solid. I've had no issues with this lens at all. The one thing that is disappointing is the front lens cap because it's got a rounded front, which means if you place the lens down, it's very wobbly. You see that? It's like one of those, them punch things you punch and they stand back up, except this one probably will fall down. We have a nice tripod mount just here, which is great. This lens is a heavy lens. It is very heavy, but at the same time, it is a workhorse. And you can see from the footage that I'm showing you here, it works very, very well. This lens is for anybody who wants to upgrade from photography lenses to proper, true cinema lenses. This is a lens I will look at when I start getting into the video side of macro. So that is a fantastic lens, and the footage from it is fantastic, as you can see from the examples in this video. Let me know what you think about it. Characteristically, it's basically the same as the photography lens, except obviously it's more geared towards video. So if you are leaning towards the video side of things more, I'd recommend you get the Cine lens. If you're doing more photography, stick with the photography lens. So my conclusion is very simple. If you are into the Cine side of stuff, then this is definitely the lens to go to, because typically you are going to have a matte box, you're going to have the focusing gears for focusing. I don't have that yet. I'm very early in my cinematic side of my macro photography, or macro videography I should say. I want to thank Irix for sending this lens over for review. I've had it for the last few months, trying it and testing it out. It has been fun to test out. Like I said, it is an absolute workhorse. If you're into the video side of stuff, I would definitely recommend this lens for any type of macro work. My name is Stuart Wood. I want to thank you for getting to the end of this review, and as always, I'll see you on the next video. In this video, I'm going to give you my review of the Cine. Now, as some people who know, the people in Discord, simple, down to basics, the simple cut down to basics, the basic, it's got a smooth, and has industry standard 0.8 pitch gears for follow through. And has industry standard 0.8, fuck me, I can't fucking win. As industry, it's also painted in a UV type paint, so you can read the